Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another daily podcast from yours truly. And if you hear a little beeping in the background, yes, I need to change the battery in my fire alarm because a smoke detector because it's that time. So if you hear it, I got to change the 9-volt battery. There are others in the house that can clearly hear it clearly, but in my bedroom I need to change it, so I need to get a 9-volt battery when I get the chance. So don't be surprised if you hear that. All right. I'm going to make this a quick one, hopefully, today. They have in the forecast on Thursday night, but there goes, by the way, on Thursday night into Friday morning, and on Monday evening, I believe, the forecast is for wintry weather. They're still not sure exactly what the totals are going to be for even if we're going to get snow. But yeah. I don't like snow. And not just because it's a pain in the butt to drive to get to work in it, especially if it's icy, but the fact that the older I get, that my joints don't like it, and I don't really like walking in snow because I don't like the idea of possibly slipping and falling in snow. That is a real concern of mine, and I really hate having to even bother with it. And this goes back to when I was a kid. I was the exact opposite. I loved it. The more the merrier, except for ice when it would knock out the power. That I didn't like so much. And the fact that I like cold weather. I used to be one of those people that would go out in cold weather in shorts, in a tank top or t-shirt, and act like all macho. Yeah, I was real smart. Yeah, sure, I was real smart back then. Nowadays, I loathe it. I loathe it as much as I loathe cold, freezing rain. You know, it's just barely above freezing. It's really cold, and it just makes your mood just go downhill. A lot of that comes from the fact that when I was a 17-year-old, I was actually 16, in the famous blizzard of 1988, my mom didn't listen to me and say, when I told her, you need to get groceries the night before the blizzard comes because the blizzard's going to come overnight. And she said, no, I saw the forecast. It's going to happen during the day. I can go to the grocery store the next morning, get some stuff, come back home. Well, in a clear case of where the young kid knew what he was talking about, the next morning we woke up and there was a foot of snow on the ground. And where I lived at the time, it was very tricky to even drive on my road. On one end you had an intersection that went up the hill at an angle that unless you had a four-wheel drive, and even then it was tricky because it would get very icy in this section. It was slanted like at a 45 degree angle. When one road is going straight up, what road I was on met that road at an intersection at like a, I guess, 70 degree angle, 75 degree angle, and you'd have to turn and go up the hill. That made it a whole lot more difficult. And more than once, my mom got her car stuck there. So, guess who had to walk back and forth to get groceries that day? Yeah, let's just say my mom definitely heard some kvetching from me when I got back home. And yeah, I don't think I'd ever been quite that cold in my life. Thank God I'd lucked up and found some galoshes in Family Dollar that actually fit my feet. They were actually coming up to my thighs. Not my thighs, but up to the top of my calves, and I could actually walk and be kind of warm in them. And I remember using some old golf clubs like ski poles getting through there. That was a pain in the butt, folks. And I had to do that something like 3 or 4 times, walking well over a mile back and forth, 2 miles both ways. So yeah, I got in my workout that day. Thankfully, she listened during the blizzard of 1993. She learned from her mistakes, so there is that. The truth is that I don't really like cold weather anymore. Mainly because of ice. During the late 90s and early 2000s, we had some pretty bad ice storms. We had some ice storms instead of snowstorms that were really, really bad. It would knock out power. And I lived in town at the time. And it knocked out power for over 14 hours. Which, where I lived at, was surprising because normally they would be pretty quick about having the power back on. And there goes that bleep again. Sorry, folks. But anyhow, that was something I remembered back then. And to me, when you get older, you get more responsibilities. You got to go to work, even when there's a lot of snow on the ground and all that. I remember the blizzard of '93. I was working at Rose's Stores at the time. The assistant manager insisted I come in, even though it not even scraped the road, not even bothered to even come close to the road. There's no way we could get out. And I told him very smart-assedly, pardon me, that if he wanted me bad enough, he'd get in his car and come get me. Thank God I didn't lose my job over that, but it was the assistant manager, not the manager. The manager completely understood after I talked to him a couple of days later when I could get out. Here's some things I found out, especially when I worked at Walmart. The associates will call out because if it's a state of emergency, Walmart would allow you to call out without punishment, or you wouldn't get any points or anything like that. The associates would call out. The customers would still come in anyway. And twice, I was the only person in electronics and Photolab and wireless trying to help customers when it was as crazy as it was on Black Friday, if not more so at times. And I have a confession to make. The day after Christmas in 2010, I was living in an apartment building in Rutherford, North Carolina. It had snowed that Christmas. Really beautiful, really nice. I called in, even though I could have gotten to work, because I did not want to go in the day after Christmas and lose my freaking mind again. So there's my confession. What can they do about it? Fire me? I ain't going back there anyway. But it is amazing how many people will come out in abysmal conditions when the highway patrol and the local officials will say, stay home. And they will go out for no good reason. It's not that they're going to get groceries or anything like that, necessary supplies. They're going out to buy TVs. They're going out to buy video games. They're going out to buy movies and such. And it would drive me nuts. It's like, don't you understand you shouldn't be here? And more often than not, my mom would listen to that advice. Not always, growing up, but often not. But it's one of those things. And I don't blame people who had to get out because they had to go to the grocery store, or they had to get something in hardware to fix something that they really needed, or some kind of plumbing thing they really needed. That I didn't mind. It's when you're getting stuff that were absolutely, completely unnecessary. Like the one person that day, one day I was being driven crazy, trying to serve all these people in the department when it's just me. And I'm talking about me, Photolab, cell phones, regular electronics. This is back when they had all that at Walmart. And I'm having to try and develop pictures, sell cell phone, and there were people who were buying cell phone plans from AT&T and Verizon. I don't think we had T-Mobile at the time. And I was the only one there. I wasn't even officially trained in that department, but here I am trying to help these people get cell phone plans. Meanwhile, I got people asking me for TVs, for video games and all this. And I'm thinking to myself, one day I actually almost lost my mind. One of those days I almost lost my mind. Actually, I had to go to the person and sit down for like 2 or 3 minutes just to calm down. So yeah, I don't particularly like snow anymore. It's nice to look at. I don't mind it if I don't have to go to work. It doesn't knock the power out. And I know it's going to be gone in a few days, a couple of days when I have to go back to work. It's just when I have to go to work and there's simply no other option to go to work, that's a real pain in the butt. And especially when it's icing and it can get on the power line, the trees near the power lines, and trees falling on the power lines, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, not fun. But I just want to come on here to throw that out there to meet my commitment. 5 straight days now, yay me, of doing this. So I'm going to get off of this here, and tomorrow hopefully I'll have a battery to fix that stupid thing, because it's going to drive me crazy. Y'all take care. Good night. Good luck. And may the good news be yours.